Welcome. I am Crime Queen, and if you're joining us for the first time, it's the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. This is where we actualize self love with the use of words and basically from the scriptures. And it's from the scriptures to really get a sense of how scripturally we have been structured, or the constructs that have make us into who we are, and to see what serves us and what no longer serves us. So basically, let's have fun. Okay, so if you're new to this channel, I have a series of templates on templates to numerology, or templates to actualizing self-love, something about on those lines. Okay, and I will also brief you on this template. Of course, it was devised through the word sacrifice, and I do work intuitively, and I have to really find another word, because I don't see this as work in the sense of what we call work, because I'm having so much fun doing these presentations. And so it's fun, it's real fun. And fun equals five, which is the central number that we are focused on. Of course, we are focused on all the numbers, but there is a sense of integrity, I should say, with number five, in that even its shape is telling you how balanced it is. Now, I will make emphasis on the balance of five, because we have seen it as that sort of odd number, or it's odd. We refer to it as being odd. But in this symbol, we can see very much how balanced it is. So it has got a square point here, and it's got a curved point here. So basically, the middle here is holding both square part, which forms like an L here, and this one is like a U. So we can see it's like a square U from this point going this way, and then it is like a curved U going this way, this point to here. I hope you can see this. Okay, so this is the structure of five, and basically it is both masculine and feminine. This is how it's played out right here. But I do refer to this five as Mother Eve, the waters that God looked, or the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the deep, and those waters that is mentioned in verse 2 of Genesis is really Mother Eve. Now, that would mean that I am not referring to the Mother Eve or the Eve that is spoken of, who came from the rib of Adam, whose rib was added to her. Okay, the story, I'm sure we all know about the story of Adam and Eve. Okay, but I am talking about the waters. And it would seem like, according to how this story or these insights are being developed, that that Eve would have been the second Eve, of course. Adam named his wife meaning seven, that totality of creation, named her Eve, and also it equals seven too, in the sense of mother, the word mother. Um, so he named her Eve because she was the mother of all living, all living. Now that meant all forms of life that exists. And we are not talking about some other form of life came into being after that. She was the mother of all living. The word was in that context as well, um, is is that double-edged sword, really. And so if you turn the word was, for instance, was is a saw. It's like Was is the past tense of what you saw. It was, and you saw it. SAW. So the only central thing that remains here, which is very solid, is the A, which has those two, which equals 2, 1 plus 1. And so we see how that word was is reflecting duality right here in that word. Okay, so the purpose of this presentation that I want to really concentrate on, I have been exploring Genesis of chapter 1, and I've got to about verse 6 and 7, and I'm going back to Genesis of chapter 1 because it is so in depth. And the reason why I want to do this is that I will, this is the second time I'm saying this on the here, is that it's the same as scientists are finding more fine-tuned instruments or form of measuring whatever test they do and find and have their findings. Likewise, we need to be looking at the scriptures closer and sort of more in a more condensed, when I say a more condensed, I mean fine tuned in a more narrow way, not just have the block, although the block has its purpose. It's like having a material thing or a house, and then you find out, well, it's made of water and mortar and sand and cement and stone, and there was painting. It's finding out its structure. And I also think that it's important to do that. It's not about just saying you have a house and then it shelters you and it offers you all the luxury that you need, but if you take time to find out its makeup or the construct, or know or found out that the stone or the tiles that come from Spain and the sand that come from the Pacific Ocean, or the cement that come from, well, I was going to say China, or China, well, or the China in your kitchen that come from China, you would have a deeper appreciation and sense of the magnitude or value of your home. So, this is one of the examples of why I feel it is important for us to really delve very closely into the scriptures. It's that we had been spoon fed, and now we have to take responsibility that we have grown up, that we need to till the ground for ourselves. We need to know what the ground feels like. We need to plant the trees. We need to pluck. We need to be doing those things. And that is in direct correlation with the story or in Genesis itself. It said that, of course, God had given everything to Adam and Eve, and they, of course, did not go without, but they went without one thing about the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge of good and evil um, was um, was meant to be, or they were prohibited from partaking of that. This is how we learn of that story. However, for them to grow in any way at all, they had to learn and experiment. And of course, the story gives that flair or flavor, but we understand much more. There is more to the story overall. But we are just sort of merging the finite essence and what we have been taught, because what we have been taught has not been like totally adverse in a sense, in the sense that it served as a bedrock or it also serves as the purpose, that thing that will etch or desire, that will etch within us to fulfill a desire to know more. And that's what it's all about. So it in some way we go on, oh, I hate a lot that we have been lied to, and it goes on, but it's just been that story that has been told, just like we tell our children stories and they grow up and they realize, hey, but that doesn't make sense anymore, and they find out certain things and certain truths. They grow up through that. And likewise, this is where the seed of all this makeup that we have transcended has derived from. It has derived from the garden, from the story that we have been taught. Now, we ought not to be ashamed or afraid to delve in that which serves us, or that which we don't know it's going to serve us until we explore it. We don't know how it's going to edify our growth or our development. However, we have a responsibility to start feeding ourselves. And that reminds me of a scripture verse that I read in Proverbs. I don't remember which chapter, but it's there, and it says, it's drink from your own cistern. Now, drink from your own cistern means that you need to start drinking from the your own intuition, that which is available to all of us, but not be spoon fed anymore. Okay, so I have been going on with this. I just thought I needed to put this out there. Okay, but and I may have to do this in two parts, but it's really about the very first, we could say the Genesis of chapter 1, verse 3. Now, there we have, I want to show that Genesis of chapter 1, verse 3. This, we see that 1 and 3, the numbers 1 and 3, uh, actually forming a foundation. In fact, I have some things on here already that seem to coincide with what I want to talk about. Okay, so, and, okay, so we have Genesis of chapter, let's get a pen that, okay, so it's Genesis. Genesis is actually, oh, this pen does not want to be uncovered right now. That's all right. We have another one that's more willing. It's like, we think it's more willing. It's like Cain and Abel. Okay, right. Okay, so it's Genesis. Let's get this G looking like a G. Uh, Genesis, SIS. We have done this numerical value for Genesis, it equals 33. So, because that would just save on doing all these, the sum of all the letters and numbers. Okay, so it says on the 1 Genesis 3, chapter 1, verse 3. So that means if we add this together, we see that it is also 13. 1, 3 is 13. Now, this is crucial. That in itself is already giving us a very deep insight to the makeup of what is to be discovered in the whole Bible, throughout the Bible. Now, I made an announcement, I should say, that I discovered really that there are 14 gods or 14 mini gods, whether they were mini gods or big gods or main gods or aids or assistants um, well, in all of the makeup of creation, but there were 14 entities, we could say, 14 um, gods. I'd rather say gods in this sense. And now we have 13 here. Now, what I have always been going on about is that 13 is the bee. 13 gives us the story of the beehive. It also gives us the story of bonding. It gives us the story of 4. When we add 1 plus 3 equals 4, we see that there is where the foundation of the earth or the world begins to take shape. We should say the earth, or because God, it seemed like we hear God created the heaven and the earth. And really, on the third verse, we see God said, now this is said. Now, I am doing this intuitively. And even if I have seen something, but while I am talking, I am also getting insight that comes into the open, so to speak. So when I open my mouth, basically I am going with what is being, like many would say, downloaded. And of course, I'd like to know it also comes from the heart. So it's really, I am speaking of the heart, I am speaking of what that feels, not just feels, but what is sensed to be true, what is sensed to be, or what is. And in fact, as we say what is, I can see that the word is in the word said, which is the word we are talking about, SAID. And that's what I mean, that it's very important that we begin to fine tune the makeup, what all makeup through the scriptures to understand how we have been shaped. Okay, so there, as I said, IS would be here, but there's the other thing that is so crucial, and it's coming to me very strongly, that this S that we have here, which is a symbol of the snake or the serpent in the Bible, and I think many would agree on that because its shape is very much like that. We can't argue that. We have seen in all the stories from the first Exodus, where there was the serpent with Moses and Pharaoh. So there were the serpents, and the two serpents were, of course, battling for their their authorities, or whichever would win. Okay, and one of course swallowed the other. Now, so we see. Now, things are so, the language we have, I believe, have been constructed on the very wisdom that we are seeking to uncover. If we take time to look, if we take time to understand, and the scriptures as well have also warned us that I have not given you the spirit of fear, meaning that we should be unafraid to look, we should be unafraid to delve. And it says, I have given you the spirit of sound mind, meaning there if something rings true, if something rings right, if something rings a certain way, we ought to look at it. Look at it. Now, when we look at it, of course, by looking, it also takes on another shape. But, but the sound really gives us a sense of resonance that tells us which way to address whatever it is we are looking at. So I'm going to look at the word sound again, SOUND, sound mind, because that is what we have been given. So it's 1, 6, 3, 5, 4, and here we have 4, 9, 5, 4. Now, I always say when you find the two numbers at either end, it is very, very powerful. It is that it is concise. There is no, you can't do anything with it. It's what it is. So there we are now. This is 14, and 8 would be 22. 2 plus 2 equals 4, and this is what we are dealing with. This is the sound mind. So the mind here, basically, Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, we are talking about the mind, which is the light when God said, "Let there be light," but the light was the mind, right here. So we are, because 4, of course, light is 2, but we are looking at and of course, God created two great lights. Two great lights. Okay, so there we are about light. And light is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so 2 lights equals 4. Okay, now let's look at sound, which is 5. That's 9, and 9, 18, and 1, 19. 19. This is very crucial for us to pay attention to. So 19, 1 plus 9 is 10. And in numerology, we say this is 1, of course. Now 1 plus 4 equals 5. Now this is what is so important for us to pay attention to. So basically, I have just been going, as I say, intuitively, that I follow this cues, whatever messages I am guided to do. And we see that again, I was just talking about the reason for looking at the scriptures very closely. When God said, "I have given you the Spirit," Spirit is also 10. The Spirit, because of course we learn in Corinthians of the different spirits, but they are the same Spirit. So God is saying, "I have given you the spirit of sound mind." Now, there we have sound and mind equals 5. Okay, now sound mind. Another thing that just comes to mind, because I've been talking about the waters. Mother Eve in the waters, that is in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 2. This is the waters mentioned in 2, verse 2. So there we see 2 is also representing perhaps the duality, not perhaps 2 represents duality. And we also see that, as I say, the lights there was also indicative of these 2, meaning 2 lights. Here for Mother Eve again is that, as I say, represents the waters. The waters, and listening to sound mind, it reminds me of the ocean. So it's as if Mother Eve, and there's 23 minutes on her. So Mother Eve is really sound. She is also she's sound. She's the water. She's the waves. She is she's the music. She's movement, and she's everything. Hence why God said, or it is said, and God saw that everything, meaning Mother Eve, everything, EVE, everything that he had done, he saw, again that word, SAW, he saw it was good. He saw it, meant he halved it. Everything he saw. He saw everything he made. In fact, not saw. Everything he made, he saw it was good. He saw it, and it was good. So, everything, the word every, EVE. Here we have Mother Eve here. And every. How often do we use this? Every day. How often do we use every minute, every second, everything? How often do we use this every and that we do not pay attention to the root of where it has derived. It's saying that it belongs to Mother Eve, or it derives from Mother Eve. Every minute, every second, every atom, every particle, every wave, every ocean, every mountain is Mother Eve. So I'm going to do another part to this presentation. Well, another part, not this presentation. This is the thing where things are in there's the double, and we see one thing and not having the inclination to merge, or how we merge things, or how they really come into it's really paying attention. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you have found this fun. Do like and subscribe, and of course let me thank you for taking the time to go through this. So, and if you have any comments, please feel free to leave your comments, likes, and subscribe. Okay, and share, because this is how we do it. We share to actualizing self-full love. Stay blissful, yes. Stay bright. Be a field. Be ignited, because we are planting new seeds, and spill over with love.